Hi everybody and welcome, of course, my favorite place, which is Diman Regional Vocational High School. And Paul Noguera? Noguera.
Yep.
Paul Noguera is the
Department head.
What do you call it, supervisor?
No, they call them department heads.
Department head.
Yeah,
okay,
department
head. And you're a graduate of Diman.
1979.
We're not going to add that up, Paul. You know? And you were telling me that you were in the outside industry after graduation.
Absolutely.
And even to eat the shipbuilding.
Absolutely. Took a couple of years of manufacturing.
Okay.
Close to 15 years, no, more like about 13 years in shipbuilding.
Shipbuilding.
And then right before I began teaching here, I just started substitute teaching in between road trips. I was working in power plants or welding. So.
Okay, and all the welding. You did
welding and fabrication on every job. Yep.
Okay. Now fabrication, explain that. Is that you have to have a part to work on?
Correct. You know,
you don't create something.
No, we usually work from.
Something.
There was one job I worked at. I worked in testing, sea trials and all that, and doing a destructive and non-destructive testing where we would build our own testing prototypes.
Okay.
However, the bulk of the industry is built from print reading. We get a print, hundreds of thousands of prints on a ship, all broken up in sections, and each crew gets prints of their particular job they have to build, whether it's sheet metal ductwork, and that's what we do. We fabricate it.
Okay.
That's why we call the program, used to be called just Metal Fabrication and Welding. It isn't anymore.
Okay.
It's Metal Fabrication and Joining Technologies. There's a lot of different joining technologies.
I bet.
From a screw to an X-ray weld, you know, so.
So even when it comes to shipbuilding and let's say military contracts that are available, the children that come through here would be very much qualified to be able to do a lot of that work.
Absolutely. We
and
have a young lady.
Obviously, with this president, there's obviously going to be a lot of military building.
We have a few students working on high-tech military projects in different companies, and quite a few over at Electric Boat, building submarines. And
yeah, Groton's still running with that submarine.
Absolutely, yep. Well, they fabricate all the sections of submarines over here in Rhode Island, Davisville, and then they float them up to Connecticut, where Connecticut assembles them.
I see.
And they call them mods. You know, a lot of our students are working at the Rhode Island facility, working as ship fitters and welders, building the mods.
I see, and then that ends up in Groton.
Correct.
And ends up in the water.
Absolutely.
So, and there's a big budget for that.
Oh.
The military budget is enormous for that kind of thing.
They can't get enough welders, is what they told us.
I bet. I bet.
Because we have a national shortage of welders.
Is that right?
National, it's been going on about 5 years.
Yeah.
It's been on 60 Minutes, Dateline. Anyone could YouTube and just look up welder shortage, and they'll see how desperate we are.
This will get you into the trade wars. The trade wars over trade assessment. What would happen in this place? Is there metal available? Is scrap metal at all used towards restoring some use for steel?
Absolutely. They reprocess a lot of metal.
Okay. There's graveyards for cars everywhere.
Oh my goodness. When they melt those down, they melt them down in different processes until they have more pure steel, and then they sell it off again.
I see.
Yep.
But we should be in the market for that because the people we're competing with don't even have a car. So, I mean, only the upper class gets a car.
You know,
think about that in the world, Paul, and then say, we got graveyards everywhere.
Thousands of cars, and you know, with the tariffs the president recently put out, which has really angered many people, including people who buy steel. An average $18 sheet of sheet metal for us went up to $25 almost overnight.
Who was making the sheet metal?
It comes out of the steel mills.
Where? Japan? China?
Yes, yep.
Japan?
Yep. We have some here, but very little.
Now, why, I thought that I have, which I'm taking you into national politics here. what really got me was why, we have the graveyards, we don't do the restoration more of it, is when this president put the coal miners back in business, actually that's more for steel. I would hope, that would be more for steel.
Yeah.
Because if he puts coal back in and uses it to get steel,
correct,
then you can kind of change that imbalance.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's his
theory.
Yes, his theory. He will release some of those tariffs eventually to lower the prices here, but to bring most of the work back to the U.S.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, when you get the pipeline, natural gas pipeline that was going in, that was it, out west.
Absolutely.
Well, the steel was Canadian steel.
And it has been for quite some years.
Yeah. So they were
Yep.
importing Canadian steel
Yep.
at a higher price and can't get into the market ourselves without the coal.
It's incredible.
I mean, you think about that for a second.
Even the pipeline, you mentioned the pipeline. I tell most of my seniors now, if they don't have a direct plan, we can help them with companies across the country.
Yeah.
In some cases, even with a family, they will move the whole family out, enroll them in school, travel them out, all pay, because they're so desperate for welders, especially on the pipelines.
Yeah.
It is incredible. Most of the welders out there today and in the past years, it's a tough trade. We usually make it around my age, 57, 58, and we start looking at retirement.
Yeah.
Not a lot of young people are willing, except for the students we have here, that
Yeah.
really
Well,
step
they're
up to the
trained that
plate
way.
to come into a dirty trade, tough trade,
Yeah.
which pays huge money
Yeah.
to keep it going. And that's what a welder shortage has come from.
It's amazing.
So valuable to us here is this program. And we've had people visit this program and can't believe the caliber of it. And
Yeah.
we're so proud of that. But it's to train young men and women to get back out in the workforce and pull it along.
Yeah.
Get them to go to technical colleges, increase that knowledge, get into engineering, welding engineering, weld testing, you know.
It's amazing how, as we sit here, Paul, you've been here.
Absolutely.
Mr. Noguera has been watching, been a disciple over the top of this, to see that the kids get a chance at it. And retirement isn't until you're old and crippled. You can make a big buck. No, you can make a big buck.
Right.
You get to some hard work situation, but you're able to be placed somewhere.
Correct.
Should you be willing to do a travel, of course. And the way the pipelines are going to service different things. I mean, Russia blackmailed everybody with pipelines for natural gas. Didn't
Yes, they did.
They shut the gas off when the temperature got really down there until they got what they wanted.
That's a fact.
And that's a fact. So, in this particular case, we've been going through. They go through all kinds. Well, this president gets everybody against him, no matter where he goes, no matter what he does, he gets blamed for everything. But the trades are the place to go.
It is fascinating.
America is the place to go.
Our infrastructure, despite the need for elaborate higher education, our infrastructure relies on the hands that are certified
Yeah.
to build it, and we do not have enough of them.
Yep.
That's the bottom line. And welding being so critical right now that they're training military in their last 6 months in pipe welding with permission from the military
Yeah.
before they are released from the military. So they have a job, and it's in welding.
Major.
And I saw this on 60 Minutes. It's incredible.
Major.
Yeah.
Huh?
Major.
So all of this thing is moving, basically from the trade school. I mean, well, I know that I know higher education, you get all these other things done. That'll be it. Paul, look, we're going to take a little bit of a. Going to go and see the shop, okay?
You
And
take a
we
nice
thank
tour.
you. Thank you very much. We'll take a little bit of a
It's a
break.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is Mark O'Connor, our sheet metal instructor. He's a former graduate here. And what year, Mark?
96.
1996. I actually had him as a student, which makes me feel quite old. He's an incredible asset because most sheet metal people know only installation. This gentleman here can fabricate anything. He's been a pleasure to work with. He wasn't a pleasure to have as a student. I say that as a joke. He was anyway. In this section right here, Mark, could you just give him a little overview of what we do here in sheet metal and what you train the kids on?
So the majority of what I train the kids on is the HVAC ductwork. So it's the layout, fabrication, installation of HVAC ductwork. Once they have a good grasp on that, I kind of get into more projects that are a little more artsy, where they can actually take what they learned from the ductwork layout, use the same processes to do more of the art stuff, which is what you can see around the shop.
I love this.
Stuff like that. Just a giant wind chime / mobile. Kids fabricated that. A lot of the other things around the shop, you can see we got a little arts and DQ.
Entire drum set on it. You can see, we were talking about metal inside the interview. Because metal is so expensive and a shortage, Mark has decided that they learn all their layout for the actual piece or project they're building on paper prior to laying it out on metal. Save the district as much money as we can in metal. You can see them working over here also.
Keep moving, Brian.
This is half this sheet metal section. And this section over here, after we get through with the exploratory program, whichever students, freshmen had chosen our program, this is where they come right here. Now they're learning a mix of welding and sheet metal. And I want to introduce you to Mr. Paul Oliveira. He's our freshman instructor. As you can see, the students are building birdhouses right now. They do welding. Mr. Oliveira.
My name's Paul Oliveira. I'm the freshman instructor here in the Metal Fabrication Joining Technologies shop. And we introduce the freshmen to not only the welding aspect of the trade and the metal fabrication, but we also go into the sheet metal part as well. So they get a little, an insight to both sides of the trade. And then sophomore year, they get to experiment and focus on more what they would like to focus on, either welding or the sheet metal part. And then they can continue on their career and focus on that aspect of the trade they want to really focus on, either welding or the sheet metal. And that's pretty much in a good summary of what we do the freshman year in this area here.
Paul's a former graduate. What year, Paul?
I graduated 1995.
1995 is the year I started. So once again, in this conversation, in this video, I feel old.
Yep.
And it's a privilege, as I say, Mark, to have Paul with us. I am fortunate as a department head because I do very little as a department head. We work as a team, and I'm so proud of that because it's just the kids see that, and that's how we want to reflect off the students,
And it's a great honor being back here teaching and passing on the knowledge that I learned here as well and in the trade, and pass it on to the next generations. It's an awesome feeling.
It is a privilege.
It's awesome.
Paul, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Some of the huge machinery you see here is our heavy this is our processing area, where we do a lot of cutting, bending, shaping. And if you follow me, you can see the power rollers, small and large, all our saws. And I think we're going to head this way. This is a new machine, a special machine we got to train the students on how to bend sheet metal in a production way. So we just purchased this. Mark had told me we need it. They go out in a trade and they did not know how to use it. So we're very excited. I'm going to take you around this way. You can see some of the ductwork right here, called a squared around. Squared ductwork is around.
So that's what that piece of equipment is actually for. The main purpose of it. So that has one center point pin on it. You slide the notch into the pin and you just, every time you step on it, it puts a kink. You're done with a square around, probably form it up in about 2-3 minutes, as opposed to using a handbrake.
Every student that's here dealing with this, they're dealing with design, drafts. So they have to start with doing the drafts so that you can't make a mistake when you get the multiplier done.
A lot of people did not realize how much of the layout in fabrication was designed and how much of the kids were responsible for it. And I don't think I even realized it for a lot of years how much design comes out of this program.
You know what always fascinated me about Diamond was the fact that in the small space that you're cramped into, what would be a great move by this governor would be to look for people who would love to be able to take advantage of all Diamond students, train them, and then to give a building, dedicate a building to give you space at their cost, not your cost.
Very
So
interesting concept.
You could then, make, this would be like almost like the top of the line.
Similar to how we train the public.
Yeah.
Without a cost.
And then you do it whereas, and the public could get advantage of it. I was looking at this way. How much free thing does Diamond students, teachers provide to a city or a town that cost them nothing? Yet, You want to be able to send so many kids a time, and you got to help to pay for it.
Absolutely, exactly.
You know what I mean?
This is our newest machine. It is a water jet cutter, some of the highest technology used in programs today aside from laser cutting. When we come back, what you saw Rosie programming in the office, our software is already in the tower here. Now she's going to set it up to actually cut the metal. And we'll come back and she's going to give us a little display of it.
So a teacher came in and he wanted me to make something like this for him, except with different numbers. So I went on the program for the water jet and I created this. So right now I'm getting ready to cut it out. So I'm going to select all, so it highlights the whole piece. And then I'm going to autopath it. And then export it. Now I'm going to a different program, which is called Flow Cut, and this is where I actually cut out the piece. So the first thing you have to do is you always have to put in the thickness of the material you're cutting out. So I'm cutting 16 gauge of galvanized steel. So that is, if I look over here, 0.065. And then I leave the material that it is because that's already what it is. And then I start. So first I'm going to home the machine so I can know where it is. And now I'm going to take the head and bring it over to the corner of the piece of metal.
Come on. Right. Right. Over a little bit. Down. Good.
All set. So now what I'm going to do is I need to turn the pump on. Yes. And now I'm going to start the program.
As you can see now, the thickness of the metal compared to where you were looking is huge. And we do some very, very large jobs here. All the fencing, wrought iron fencing you see all around the campus, all that fancy fencing down by the ball fields that was built by our students and instructors here in the Metal Fab shop. We have some here being built that is going all around the school. We're replacing all railings even down to the ball field, all the way down. I'd like to introduce you to Dave Salsina. Dave's an excellent welder and fabricator. He graduated, I believe, the same year I started teaching as well, right? 95?
1995, yep.
So we're all former graduates in this shop from this trade. I'm going to let Dave give you a little bit of an overview of what he does here with the students on this side here.
So this side is the metal fabrication side. We do fabricating, we start with flat plate and we'll cut it, bend it, weld it together. For example, there's railings here we're doing for the school. We've done many outside projects for the community. I'm not sure if you talked about we have a collaboration with the University of Alabama.
No, I just...
We've built some, and it's called an Eco Car. It's this design that they're trying to do for a new solar powered Camaro. So we've done a lot of stuff with them also. There's just some examples of what we've done, in the program for others.
What types of welding do and cutting?
Pretty much. We have a water jet cutter, plasma cutter that we use as far as cutting. And we cut all different shapes and sizes. different materials. The water jet is actually nice because you can cut not just steel or aluminum. You can cut stone, you can cut wood, you can cut anything. Glass, yeah, anything. As far as welding, we do is MIG welding, TIG welding, stick welding, flux core, weld steel, aluminum, stainless steel. Mr. D'Souza will explain all the welding parts. That's his department, but I do metal fabrication.
You can see the complexity of even some of the projects for the upperclassmen with the form of thick metal, gussets, different types of welding.
There's some stainless steel, there's some carbon steel. The groove weld there. Couple of groove welds, deep groove weld there.
Train them completely around. You don't try to take to every aspect from what they'll be dealing with in the trade as much as possible. You can see all our welders here. These are all our welding booths where the students train on all the different phases of welding. And we're going to head over. As you can see, I'll take you around. Mr. Salcia is responsible for repairing that entire bleachers that was torn up in one of the big storms we had. So we'll get to take a look at the students there. We'll go talk to Mr. D'Souza, the actual welding instructor at this point. Thanks, Cal.
Thank you.
Be careful here. The heart of the welding. So we all fabricate and weld. But the real heart of welding and how it's done is Mr. D'Souza's responsibility. And I'd like to take you over. Mr. D'Souza, if you could, just introduce yourself and tell them a little bit about yourself.
Hello everyone, my name is Mr. D'Souza. I'm a welding instructor here at Diman Regional. It's my third year in the making, so still practicing my techniques, but hopefully bringing on a new generation of welders into the industry. Currently, we're working on some MIG welding. We have some students working virtual welder simulation and also real-time welding. So they get the best of both worlds where we can monitor their welding as they're doing it virtually on a screen. We can show you that shortly. Critique their work, their technique, and then have them jump in a booth and produce a sound quality weld after they've rehearsed it on the virtual welder. So I can show you that real quick here. So as you can see, we have a student now. He's currently doing a T-joint configuration in a horizontal position. So the machine lines them up robotically with virtual sensors and has him virtually replicate a weld without the actual spark. So, and it gives him a grade. After he produces multiple passes of a successful grade, we can switch the machine over to a virtual or a real live welder, or we can then in turn have them jump in a booth and practice the welding techniques that they, muscle memory is what the idea is here.
It's more complex, the actual skill of welding, than what people realize. Kevin has worked almost fabricating all his life, but as a CWI, I believe, a certified welding inspector. Going around and inspecting people's welds and making sure they're welding by code. That's something we never done here in all the testing. Kevin has brought that to us. You have a student actually applied welding right now in the welding.
Been practicing on the live arc. They're kind of going back and forth. That way they can rehearse the muscle memory and put it back into real world. Going back and forth from multiple processes. Some of the students over here are working on projects. You can see some of we'll give them a drawing with multiple steps, something that they're going to see out in the industry. Break it all down to the different views. This is actually crafted by Drafting, another shop. They drew it up for us and multiple components, multiple details. Then we break down to our weld symbols, so that way they know exactly where to produce welds. A couple little curveballs. Some areas here say do not weld, to test the students to make sure that they're paying attention to just the drawing itself, make sure that they're not missing any details. Final production here, you can see some of the students is the end result. Multiple welds. You can see the no weld area here, which student did find. So kind of some of the projects that they're working on. Multiple process, we have some MIG, some TIG, again, just constantly hitting all the different points of the industry, try to cram 4 years of a lot of knowledge that's required of the students nowadays, you know. So that's pretty much the welding end of it.
Like Mark does in sheet metal with the layout we spoke about on the paper, save money on welding. The live arc saves a lot of time and a lot of metal that they would be wasting just trying to get all the position, arm control, the eye, the vision to the weld before they go in a booth. Again, saving the district could be thousands a year in metal, yeah.
Easily. I mean, the amount of material someone new that's never welded before would actually have to burn up to get somewhere where they're starting to get the hang of it. I mean, you're talking a lot of material.
Yeah.
So let alone gas and wire and electricity. Well, you know,
The consumables are very expensive in welding, you know, as much as
it's costly.
Mr. South's going to put that bleach is all back together. As I said previously, it was blown over in one of our big storms and kind of tore it all apart. That bleaching right there, if we bought a brand new, I believe is around $20,000. So our job is to fix it and save the school that money. And we do this for every town. And we pride ourselves. The school, the maintenance, the towns come before any private customer. But we do our best to accommodate everybody. You know?
First of all, let me know once again, thank you very much for the shop. And the interesting thing is, these kids have a great interest, peak to a great interest and want to do it. It's co-ed,
Oh yes, absolutely.
co-ed, and every the young ladies and young men are all into it.
As a matter of fact, what you saw out there on the floor
Yep,
was the cultivation of 85 students
yep.
cultivated between the A week and B week, and out of the 85, 20 are female.
Right.
So, and they make phenomenal welders, as you could see. They are really, really intricate at the welding.
Well, they're very, very happy with it. Thank you.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for coming
Oh,
to
yeah.
Diamond and coming to our shop.
I love it.
Senator
I love it.
Norton,
Thank
you've done a great job through the years.
Good luck. Get yourself on demand. Okay.
I will this evening.
You
a
gotta
nice
wait till we
day.
produce it.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.